The SS Baltimore, built in 1881 and launched at Gibraltar, Michigan. She was originally launched as the Escanaba and then later renamed. The Baltimore had a length of 212 feet, and she had a tonnage of 1,160 tons. She was made out of wood, and she had a compound steam engine with a single shaft and one screw. The Baltimore was built as a wooden coal carrier across the Great Lakes. On May 24, 1901, the Baltimore was carrying a cargo of coal when all of a sudden a terrible storm gale brewed. The Baltimore struck a reef and broke in two and foundered after fighting all the way to above Thunder Bay in the terrible storm. The Baltimore tried to turn back for Tawas, however, she did not make it. All 14 of the Baltimore's crew went down with her, and her remains still lie at the bottom of southeast of Auslide, Michigan. The Bon Voyage, a wooden steamer that was built in 1891 at Saugatuck, Michigan. The Bon Voyage came in a length of 153 feet, and she could take on a load of around 500 tons aboard her. The Bon Voyage was part of the Singer's White Line Transportation Company. This company was of Duluth. The Bon Voyage could also have up to 40 people at a time on her, including crew. On May 10, 1901, the Bon Voyage suddenly caught fire in Lake Superior. This was at night. The captain and crew beached her near the Portage Ship Canal. A telephone message from Red Ridge, this was a village that was nearest to the spot that she was beached, said that 5 passengers, all women, were drowned in getting from the boat to the shore. The rest of the passengers and crew escaped safely to the beach. The 5 women who drowned were 5 members of the Altman family of Lorium. They included the grandmother, mother, and the latter's 3 daughters. However, 1 daughter was rescued. The Bon Voyage was first sighted at around 9 o'clock. This was several miles out from the shore and was headed for the beach. She was engulfed in flames. The steamer, burning fiercely, struck the bottom nearly a mile from land. Observers from a distance failed to see the lifeboats lowered, but they must have been used to aid the passengers and the crew who did escape and survive. When the engineers on the Bon Voyage abandoned their machinery after the steamer struck the beach, the engines were left working ahead at full speed. One of the Altman sisters, who was clinging to a board with her sister Bessie, was washed out into the lake by the current from the wheel and drowned. One final witness report recorded that a woman described as the grandmother of the Altman family jumped into Lake Superior along with her daughter and her 3 granddaughters. Again, all but the youngest child drowned and died. There's also a report of an unknown young man who also met the same fate, probably the night that the Bon Voyage burned and was beached. The Brunswick was an iron bulk steamer, built in 1881 at Wyandotte, Michigan. She was a bulk freighter and the first single-decked iron freighter as well. Her builder was the Detroit Dry Dock Company. She also had 4 masts, along with a fore and aft compound engine. The Brunswick had a length of 236 feet. She had a beam of 36 feet and a depth of 14. She also had a tonnage of 1,120 tons and a carrying capacity of 1,500 tons. The Brunswick was a brand new bulk freighter, and she was lost in a horrendous accident off of Dunkirk, New York. This happened on November 12, 1881. That night, a terrible snowstorm whipped up, and the Brunswick rammed the loaded schooner Carlingford. In the collision, the Brunswick had crushed in her bows. After ascertaining that the schooner's crew was completely abandoned from their ship and on board the Brunswick, she departed from the collision area. The steamer turned and tried to make a run for the shoreline. However, unbeknownst to the crew, she was sinking. The Brunswick sank in a few miles just short of the shoreline. She lost 3 of her crew members that went down with her, and she lost all of her cargo of hard coal. The final chronological order of the history of the Brunswick was that she was launched again on May 21st of 1881, and then she sank on November 12th of 1881. What a short life for the Brunswick. The Athens schooner barge, built in 1897, she was made completely of wood and she had 2 decks. She came in at a length of 293 feet. She had a beam of 44 feet and a depth of 19. She also had a tonnage of 2,073 tons. On May 15, 1899, the Athens collided into the East Pier in Fairport, Ohio, and was damaged. In 1906, November 22nd, it was reported that she foundered in Lake Erie, and then was found 2 days later off of Huron in Ohio, anchored with steering damage. And finally, on October 7, 1917, the Athens was behind the Canadian steamer in tow named the Lucknow or Lucknow. As they departed, they encountered a heavy blizzard in the seas off of Southampton, Ontario. The Athens broke her back and sank in the blizzard, taking 5 of her 8 crew members down with her. This last story is a type of bonus story that I have decided to throw in here at the end of this episode. Now, this story is definitely not a lake freighter story. Quite the opposite. This is the story of the SM-UC 97, which, for those of you who do not know, there is a German submarine or German U-boat from World War I at the bottom of Lake Michigan. I will tell you how she got there. During World War I, this German U-boat was ordered on January 12th of 1916, and she was launched on March 17th of 1918. The U-boat was commissioned into the German Imperial Navy on September 3rd of 1918 as the SM-UC 97. She also had other completed U-boats as well, and they conducted no war patrols and sank no ships. On November 22, 1918, the UC-97 was surrendered to the United States. She then formed the ex-German Submarine Expeditionary Force with the SMU-111 and the SMU-117, among other ones as well. 12 United States Navy officers, along with 120 enlisted men, were sent to England to sail the captured submarines of this expeditionary force across the Atlantic to be exhibited in the United States and for raising money for Liberty Bonds. The UC-97 then sailed from Harwich in April of 1919 with the U-111 and U-164. They stopped at Bermuda before reaching New York City. The UC-97 then sailed through the St. Lawrence Seaway to the Great Lakes, and she was under the command of Charles A. Lockwood. The UC-97 was then moored at the foot of Monroe Street and opened to tourists in Chicago's lakefront Grant Park. However, A clause of the Armistice Treaty required all German combat vessels held by Allied forces were to, in fact, be destroyed before July 1st of 1921. All armament, including the propulsion machinery and navigation gear, were removed from the UC-97. She was then towed out into Lake Michigan by the USS Hawk. They then used the UC-97 as target practice. This was during the annual summer training of naval reservists who were living in the Midwestern United States. The USS Wilmot fired 18 rounds into the UC-97, and she sank in under 15 minutes to the bottom of Lake Michigan. This was off the coast of Highland Park, Illinois, on June 7, 1921. However, the wreck of the UC-97 has not definitively been located. It has been reported in 2013 from the Toronto Star article that the U-boat was found in 1992 by the Chicago-based company A&T Recovery. However, records are spotty, and the UC-97 may still be lost at the bottom of Lake Michigan. If you guys have other information to her location and whereabouts, I'd greatly welcome it in the comments down below. However, that will be it for today's episode on Songs of the Great Lakes. I do hope you have enjoyed these 4 vessels that sank, and I give all respect and honor to the crew members and passengers who were lost on these vessels. And again, I pray that these episodes bring respect to the families or friends from these events that happened so long ago, and to any still remaining family or friends who knew these people or no relatives still alive today. May this bless you, and may these ships and the souls, that were lost on them never be forgotten. So, with that being said, I thank you everyone so very much in joining me on today's episode, and as always, look forward to the next one. God bless you all.